In this episode of the JBoard YouTube channel, we talked with Nick LeRoy, a seasoned SEO expert and the founder of SEOjobs.com, about how he turned a passion project into a thriving niche job board. We unpacked Nick's journey from acquiring SEOjobs.com to scaling it to over 150,000 users in 2024, all while balancing his career as a freelance SEO consultant. Nick shared his insights on the power of premium domains, building a brand in a crowded space, and how creating valuable resources like career guides and interview simulators can really drive user engagement. We also dove into the challenges of operating a niche job board, including market fluctuations and strategies to attract employers. So if you're looking for actionable advice to grow your job board, improve your SEO strategy, or create an engaged audience, then this episode is packed with practical takeaways.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited for our conversation today.
Oh, me too. Super excited. So let's jump into it then. Nick, why don't you share a bit about your professional background outside of the stuff that I just mentioned in the intro, and what led you to, I say, start your job board, but it was an acquisition.
Was. Yeah, so a quick, background on me. So I've been doing SEO for about 15 years now. I always kind of joke that I was a recovering agency SEO because I had done SEO roles for about 10 years. And then this will become relevant later, but I actually lost my job. I got fired once, and then I was actually let go in another agency role due to COVID-19. And at that point, that's when I decided to go freelance full time. So I've been doing that for about 5 years now.
Mhm.
And the reason that I mentioned, those unfortunate job situations is I'm very aware of what it takes and what opportunities exist for SEOs looking for jobs. And with that said, I think most of us, if there's any SEOs listening, we know that if you go to LinkedIn or Indeed, you type in just SEO into the search bar, the first thing we always see is some like developer role where there's a bullet at the very bottom that's like, if you know SEO, that's a bonus. And it's very frustrating. So I had an opportunity, and as you and I had talked offline, Peter Askew was the original owner of SEOjobs.com. He put it together, and he originally reached out to me to just sponsor the SEO for Lunch newsletter. He's like, hey, I just want to get some visibility to the site. And we did it for a couple weeks, and then he's like, hey, I feel like I really need a face behind this site. He's like, I do SEO, but I don't consider myself an SEO. He's like, so I really would love to get somebody who's just closer to the industry and just deeper. And so I bought in for 50% of the site. Fast forward another year, Peter actually had an opportunity to buy one of his projects back that he kind of regretted selling. So he gave me the opportunity to buy the whole thing. He's like, I love working with you, but this is not my passion project. I need to work on this. So we agreed to a price and I bought him out. And that brings me to today. But like I said, the big thing is, and I tell people because I'm trying not to be shy, it's like I've been fired and I've been let go. And I know everybody's first instinct is where are those job boards? And unfortunately, or fortunately, if you look at it from my side of things, the big job boards just don't do a good job for SEO professionals. And
Mhm.
so SEOjobs.com.
Fantastic! What a brilliant backstory. It seems to be quite a theme of some of the conversations that I've been having, where people find themselves, for whatever reason, out of work and want to start something in their niche to kind of almost give back to people as they've found themselves in that same challenge as well. And what a brilliant kind of story around how you came to take on the site, take on the job board after meeting Peter and working with him as well. So So since you've been involved in SEOjobs.com, what's been some of the biggest successes that you've achieved with that job board? We're talking numbers, people, anything that you want to go for.
So one thing that was exciting, I was just looking at analytics, and in 2024, I hit over 150,000 users in the year. So that was just exciting because this has always been a passion project, but as I had mentioned, I'm a consultant. That's what pays my, bills day to day. And SEO jobs has always just kind of been passive or an organic, play, pardon the pun.
Yeah.
So being able to hit 150 was a big like wake up of like this really is an opportunity. So I'm excited in 2025 and beyond to like put more like intentionality into it.
Hmm.
So I would say that just that validation of the industry and the need was huge. But one of the other things that I was not anticipating at all was there's just a lot of people that send me notes just thanking me for the resource existing because they have that exact same experience that I had, which was going to the big job boards, being one of 800 people that are applying for it. You may or may not be qualified. And again, I'm kind of long answer short here. I get that from the job posters too. I'm getting people that are like, this is amazing. I love coming to your site because it's like, I'll post a job and I'll get 30 people to apply, and 90% of them are qualified. I
Yeah.
don't have to weed through, 3,000 applicants like I do on LinkedIn.
And that right there is the benefit to an employer of a niche job board, because you know that pretty much every applicant that comes through that is relevant to that niche and to that role. So that validation is fantastic, and also the validation of the numbers is superb as well. But it's wonderful to get that that kind of written feedback, and that lovely kind of personal feedback from your users, because ultimately it's life changing, work, and people appreciate it. People really do. So what I love about what you just said is that, if we take kind of both answers, both the last two answers, this has very much been a very passive, kind of passion project rather than something that you've intentionally worked on, because most of your income comes from your consulting work rather than your job board. But you've been able to passively grow to that number of users. I'd love to focus in on that a little bit more through this conversation, and really understand, the strategies that you have put in place, whether intentional or not, that have driven that kind of user numbers.
Yeah,
So
so it's
can we, yeah, I was going to say, why don't you share some of your secrets behind that?
yeah, I think the secret is not going to be sexy because it's all, honestly, it's about building a brand. And you're going to think this is kind of funny given that it's the SEO running an SEO job website. You'd think SEO would be, the big, the gasoline behind the fire. And the reality is my direct traffic from owning the premium domain SEOjobs.com makes up about 50% of all my traffic. And now I sound like a mini Peter Askew. He's a big champion of, the exact match domains. I love it as well. But when I am marketing, even passively, all I'm doing is trying to get SEO jobs awareness. Meaning, people very rarely see the site and it's like I'm actively choosing not to use it. My biggest problem is they just don't know that it exists.
Mm,
So what I do all the time is just trying to have relevant conversations, on social media. I'm very deep within the SEO industry, so it's just get the name out there. So it's not, do these 5 things on page so you can rank number one. Because as people know, and people are probably thinking about this as they're watching this episode, Google has kind of ruined SEO for job boards because we all know as soon as you type in, that geography and profession, there's that big widget on the very top, and that's Google, serving, job listings directly. Now there's ways to get included into that, but organic search is a small percentage of my total traffic. And again, it's funny because as an SEO, creating an SEO jobs website, you'd think that'd be the backbone. But what I like is in the SEO world, there's a lot of turmoil of like, what does ChatGPT, these LLMs, and social media, TikTok, like, and these are all things that other people own and can take away.
Yeah.
Building a brand and having this premium SEOjobs.com, creating a newsletter, building my own audience, like I own that. And that's amazing. And that is truly where I see the biggest opportunity for growth moving forward.
And that's really fascinating. So if I could sum that up, it's premium domain. So absolutely have the right domain rather than a random name for a job board. Um, if you're in a niche, get involved in wherever that niche is, whether it be online forums, networking events, etc., and just get your brand in front of as many people using those kind of channels. Is that a good summary of how
Yeah,
you've kind of
you
done it?
summarized it perfectly.
Perfect. And it's really, really interesting because you're right. I think that um, you know, inviting you onto the show, I was expecting the conversation to turn down the route of, how do we master SEO from a job board perspective? And you're right. We all know in the job board industry that that SEO isn't what it used to be because of Google. Are there any things that people still need to think about when it comes to SEO? You mentioned about getting onto Google for Jobs, and we know that most kind of job boards, hopefully you're indexing on Google for Jobs anyway, whether it be using something built in or something you've built on a XML feed or what have you. Um, is there anything that people could be thinking about from an SEO perspective that might just get them to the first non Google for Jobs kind of search result?
Yeah, so there's two things that I'll share. One, people are not always aware that there is what's called a job API indexer. And what that means is only for jobs and certain news elements can you tell Google implicitly when a page went live and when it expired. And this is a direct API into Google. It nearly always gets you instantly indexed, which anybody who's familiar with SEO knows that's one of the biggest hurdles. So it's a big benefit that we have, and Google, relies on us to actually do that. So using this API and being able to push your jobs in and out of the search results is going to help you get listed in that widget, as well as making sure that you have your schema markup in it. So that's one big opportunity. I would say if you're not using the Google indexing API, make sure you look at that. Like that can be a big unlock for organic traffic, for people that aren't using it. The other thing that I see is a lot of people love the idea of a job board kind of being passive, meaning
Mm,
you go there, it's strictly the jobs, and that's it. I want to collect the check, I want to post, but then you're kind of limited to, again, that brand or maybe that potential keyword of, SEO jobs, right?
yeah.
Now, this is where people don't like it because it takes time and money, but creating these additional resources, and what I mean by resources is like, for example, I've created like a career guide so that there are many different SEO titles, but like, what is a description of it? What is an average salary? And I've even included, what a job description that people are actually using within the site so that other employers can go in and use it as a template. And another example is just recently, again, being an SEO, I'm looking at Google all the time, but I know people are searching for SEO interview questions, and you can replace SEO with any industry. People are searching for that. But what I saw was, again, in the SEO space, is, people write 30 SEO questions, 50, and what they're doing to one up each other is just adding to the list. So what I did is literally last week, I launched, it's an SEO interview simulator. So I
Okay.
used AI to create an actual simulation of, it's like a mock interview. So now my goal and what I fully anticipate is that I'm going to be able to rank at the top of Google when people are searching for SEO interview questions, because I'm not just trying to do the bare minimum to rank. I'm changing the perception and the value that users are going to get, for that query. So that takes time and money and resources, but those are the big opportunities for capturing, SEO listings, but also building your brand as a whole and credibility.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. So we've got two things there. We've got the Google indexing API,
Mhm.
which you absolutely need. And small plug for JBoard. We do have that kind of built into the system. Have to do that, otherwise, well, I'm contractually obliged to do that. Um, but ultimately, you need to make sure that you're getting your jobs indexed onto Google, because that's where people start their job search. Usually on somewhere like Google, they'll type in SEO jobs in wherever they are, and the Google widget will come up first. You need to get your jobs indexed in there. But if you want to make a difference elsewhere, it's resource, it's content that's all aligned with your keywords and your user kind of search intentions and what have you, that where they want to come to your site because they want to find out things like interview questions, salary guides, all those kind of things that are peripheral to the actual jobs, but help from an indexing perspective.
Absolutely. Well, it's like you got to think about
Fantastic.
it as kind of like a user journey. It's like once you apply for a job, what's going to be the next step of that? I want to prepare for the job. I also have like a salary negotiation post that, allows you to get insights. Now I've gone through the interview, I aced it, I got a job offer, but maybe it's not what I was hoping for it. So how are you providing value at every step in the job process?
Love it. That's great. I think that's such a great takeaway, is thinking about that user journey. Yes, it's transactional. They're coming to find a job and apply for a job, but what else can you give them after that? And I think that's fantastic. That's a great takeaway to really focus in on there. So we've talked about growing the board. We've talked about some of the successes, getting the brand out there, building the users, getting the wonderful feedback. Love to understand what challenges you've come up against and what lessons you've learned from those challenges. Can you think of like something that's frustrated you over the last few years that you've been involved?
Yeah, so I love this question because SEOjobs.com, and again, I say, despite being called SEO jobs, is like the first big project I've had where SEO is such a small part of it. So, what I have found interesting, there's probably two big takeaways. One, brand building is hard. I mean, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm in all these groups, and everyone knows I'm like the SEO jobs guy. But just getting your name out, like that is so hard. And you don't have an infinite dollars for paid search and all that.
Mm.
So it just feels like every single day you're kind of screaming into the void. And if you can get one or two extra people to be aware of, it adds up. But that was a lot harder than I thought. The other thing that I did not anticipate is in the SEO industry right now, there's a lot of turmoil. And what I mean by that is with AI and the low barrier of entry to become an SEO of any level, and then unfortunately companies getting scammed, there is a lot of pullback right now in budget. So a lot more SEOs right now are actually losing their jobs than there are companies looking to hire. And obviously, in that situation where there aren't nearly as many jobs being posted, it's great for the site getting traffic because all the people are coming to the site. I get to build goodwill for them. But I don't make money from people coming to my site. I make money when people are posting a job. So when
Mm.
the market or industry is down, that has an impact in just the monetary performance of the site.
I get that. I get that totally. And actually, that's quite an interesting conversation point. Really, is that you know when we think about job boards, they're a two-sided marketplace. There's the job seekers, and then there's the employers. And a lot of the time, it's easier to capture job seeker traffic, like you said, whether it be, good kind of a good name, or being involved in industry forums and what have you. How are you capturing employer traffic? How are you getting people to your job board and getting them to pay to post a job posting there?
Yeah, so I think that's one of the things that I still haven't perfected, but I believe it's a little bit circular in the sense of because it doesn't cost money for the people seeking the jobs, once they're employed and then they know their team is looking to expand, then they become an advocate for you. And I get a lot, especially on the agency side. Like agencies use my site more than in-house, but a lot of it is, hey, somebody had joined our team previously from your site and they were raving about it, so we're going to give it a shot. And then again, a lot of it too is like I have an interview series and I try to go out and interview agency owners because
Hmm.
everybody likes to talk about themselves. So if you can put a spotlight on them, then it's just another opportunity, even on one by one basis, getting them aware that the site exists. And sometimes they'll come back and post a job, or I may offer them a free job listing in exchange for their time doing an interview. So it's not super scalable, but that is the process that I've been doing to date.
Interesting. So really kind of leaning in on referrals ultimately, through
Absolutely.
providing a good experience and referrals, and then actually, going direct to people who could potentially be customers and interviewing them. I love that. That's great. Brilliant. Not what we're doing here, but great. Um, Perfect. No, that's really, really interesting. So, um, a lot of our a lot of our audience are kind of in the real early stages of building and growing their job boards. If you could kind of go back in time to when you first started getting involved and think about some really good advice that you could have done with, what's the top advice that you give to somebody that's just starting out in their job board journey?
Yeah, I think it really goes back to probably what the theme is here, and it should be for everybody, regardless of your industry, is like give, 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 give. I believe that if you are providing the maximum amount of value to the job seeker, it's gonna come full circle. And like I said, that can be everything from just making your site really easy to use. It can be all the supporting content to give them through that journey. But I believe that if you focus on that, that it will come full circle because those people will then champion your brand. And that, forget about even a job board. Like, that's how you build a good business. When you
Mm,
have people that champion your brand, you win.
I like that. I really like that. It's almost karma, isn't it? You treat people well, and it will come back to pay you off several times over.
Exactly. The only other thing I'll add too, and this is just the SEO in me, is be careful with those like TLDs. Everybody wants to do SEOjobs.io or .co or SEO-jobs. And one thing that I'm a big fan of is I just call it the like speaking out loud test. If we're meeting in a bar and you're like, I need an SEO job, where should I go? If I have to tell you, okay, it's SEO underscore jobs star dot io, like that's not brandable.
Yeah.
So I get a lot of messages from people that are like, should I be the best SEO jobs today.com or should I just be, you know, whatever brand that you are building? So I think that's just one other thing to think about. And if you go the premium domain route, like I did, you don't have to really think about it too much.
Yeah, I think that's really, really valid advice, especially as the market gets bigger and bigger and the number of job boards get more and more. People are really struggling to find the right domain, and I think that's a fantastic piece of advice. So, as we kind of come to the end of this episode and this conversation, um, you mentioned right at the beginning that you're looking forward to a really exciting 2025 and kind of gonna go to work on the job board with some intentionality. What are the plans for 2025? What are you up to with SEO jobs?
Yeah, so my gosh, it might sound like a broken record, but 2025 is the year of just helping people solve for their pain points. Like I said, in SEO specifically, more people are losing their jobs than they are gaining jobs. It's like the first time ever where the supply is bigger than the demand. So, what I am going to double down on is winning over people and making them champions of my brand. And that's why I was mentioning earlier these resources, whether it's job descriptions, salary guides, interviewing tips, they're going to be like, that's what's going to help carry me. And then I just want to make sure that I'm elevating the experience. Again, I use that experience with, or the example of my interview simulator. I saw what was ranking in Google. It's all text-based, Q&A. We know that when to successfully interview, it's not about memorizing an answer. It's about how you communicate and how you demonstrate your expertise. So I built a tool that allows people to focus on some of those other soft skills outside of just, oh, this is what technical SEO is, this is what's local SEO. And
Mm.
that is where I'm going to try to be very intentional. So it's just quality over quantity and really addressing people's pain points.
Love it. I think that's a great place to finish on in regards to that. So really focusing in on people's pain points and thinking about kind of everything else that you can offer out to your to your members and to your employers and to your job seekers. Absolutely love that. So Nick, thank you very much. Where can people find you if they want to contact you, communicate with you, learn more from you?
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, check out SEOjobs.com. See how easy that was? That passes the word test.
There we go.
Yeah. Otherwise, you can reach out to me individually at nickleroy.com. I'm on Twitter, X, LinkedIn are probably the two platforms that I'm on most. And if you want to stay up with SEO, news and updates that are happening, I do write a weekly newsletter, and you can check that out at seoforlunch.com.
Well, we'll make sure those are all linked to in the info section on the video on YouTube. But Nick, first of all, thank you so much for giving us your time today and the benefit of your experience and your wisdom. I think that there's going to be absolutely tons of information for our viewers and our listeners to take away from here. So Nick, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a lot of fun.